context to oil just now? What is the macro in terms of the skew? Short selling, right? Short selling, short selling, short selling. Okay, red is at the bottom, so the macro red is at the bottom. We can see that as we come into this area here, as we go through this phase of 1400 hours into this US session. The red is at the bottom. It's visible. Clearly, difference is visible in the charts if we zoom into that multi-day time frame. So I would rather be short oil. So as I zoom into that short oil, I then zoom in a little bit further and I start looking predominantly for the short oil. Well, if I start looking for that short oil narrative, you might be able to recognize a couple of opportunities that started to appear, for example, here. Take a look at that opportunity there as I zoom in. Look, that red line has never been off the low price. You see that? It doesn't matter how many time frames I go back. It doesn't matter how long I go back. I've went back for 24 hours. I've went back for 48 hours. That red is still at the bottom edge now. Right there. 48 hours later, that red is still at the bottom edge. But now it's in a micro bottom edge as well. This micro bottom edge means if I don't sell oil here, I am an absolute mug of epic proportions. You understand? Macro and micro has lined up on this trade. It's not just a micro, it's not just a micro trade, it's not just a micro buy. It's a macro and a micro buy at the same time. So what is this? It's going to be a sell on oil on a macro and micro scale. So when we go to the oil charts and we ask the question, well, could I get a sell trade on that oil trade? Is it possible to get a short trade there? Well, we're into a prior high, which is good news. Always part and parcel of that jigsaw puzzle is trying to find the right price. That's great news. We're into that trade there. We're ready to rock and roll. And look at what happens from that micro-macro narrative. Take a look and see what happens. We're selling 91s. Look at what happens to the oil price. 90.90s to 90.50s in 5 minutes. $400 easy profits by lining up your macro and micro charts in the same on the same little bit of screen, real estate, no extra requirements, no extra resources, just recognizing that the red has always been at the bottom. And when we get that extra value divergence at the bottom edge, it never happened here, it didn't really happen here, definitely didn't happen here, but it did happen here. It's the only one that has that, hasn't it? The purple line made lower lows here, the purple line made lower lows here, the purple line made lower lows here. The purple line made lower lows here. The purple line was not making lower lows here. It's the only one. It's the perfect sell trade. And the perfect sell trade goes 90.90s to 90.50s for $400 in 5 minutes. Waiting for that perfection is exactly what you should be looking for, isn't it? Waiting for that idea, that perfection to show up, and then saying to yourself, you know what, it's time for me to play. It's time for me to get busy with this bit of business here. And obviously, as I said, the takeaway was glorious. That is the trade that makes your career right there. That is the kind of thing, waiting for that. Because now you go back into looking at it saying, well, is there any value here? Well, you go back and say, well, what would I rather be doing? And you see, obviously, again, the red line below the purple, and you zoom in again, and you see red line below the purple, and you zoom in again, and you see red line below purple. And you say, I'd still rather be selling top edges if I get that type of value. Well, lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. There's no trade. So there's no trade. There's lower lows here. And then we start seeing a possible idea evolving again into the same high price. And we start looking at it again from that perspective. And we say, could we get some business done here? Well, there it is. It's just went 90.94s and it's dropped down to 90.80s. Another 10 ticks. And another stop at break-even trade. Is there anything difficult about this process? The red is into new lower lows, the purple is not. You can see quite clearly the red is into new lower lows, the purple is massively divergent to the upside, the blue line's divergent, the blue line's divergent, purple line's divergent. That is another sellable opportunity. It's not as good as this one, but it's definitely another sellable opportunity. And obviously another 10 ticks made out of that trade, perhaps even, yep, 10 ticks. And a stop at break even, top right hand hold, so it should squeeze. We should be trading 91s, and we'll probably be able to do the trade all over again from 91 break here. So we'll probably get another opportunity to do this bit of business again at the higher price. So that's good stuff, guys. Great stuff.